2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, you're darn right. Hey, welcome into the Voice of Reason. It is a Monday, a brand new week. It is a shortened week with Thanksgiving holiday coming up just a few days from now. I know you're excited, although you may just be sitting at home and celebrating by yourself, right? Yeah, I'm sure that's the way a lot of people are going to do it. Hey, welcome into the show, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship station, all over the nation on radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at, watching or listening. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Your Millennial General reporting for duty, as we do each and every day, with the live streaming on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, also on Parler.com and on Minds.com. We also do have the live stream up and going on the website at HooserReason.com, so you can always go and check it out right there as well. Hope you had a great weekend. It is finally starting to get cold here in the Wichita area. Finally! It's been like 60-some-odd degrees throughout the entire last couple of weeks, so now I think we're finally starting to get some winter weather coming in right before Thanksgiving, so appreciate that a whole lot. It was a weird weekend, I have to admit. We're still kind of recovering from whatever we had, the cold or the flu. It wasn't COVID, we know that, but we are still kind of recovering, so it was kind of a low-key weekend. And I feel great now. Mrs. Voice of Reason starting to recover. Little Voice of Reason didn't get it at all, so that's good. She was having fun, although we did have kind of a daddy-daughter day yesterday just hanging out. I played a little bit of games. We worked on our Hooser Media Network a little bit and just kind of chilled. I will say, though, that when you are on NyQuil, you have very strange dreams. I've never had dreams like that before. It was very weird. So I was, last night, actually, especially kind of popped into my head. It was, I ended up dreaming that I was getting all tattooed up, which, as you know, I do have a tattoo here. It's an American flag one. Cool. It's kind of neat. But I am waiting in anticipation and in great length and getting very frustrated because I do not have a lot of patience of getting a couple more. And it's been in the works for a while. But I had a dream last night that I actually was getting my tattoos, and someone was talking about the designs they were working on and how they were going to do it on my arm, and it ended up turning in from like just something on my shoulder, like almost a full full sleeve, which I don't want. I don't think I ever want a full sleeve. I would be okay with a half sleeve just because maybe it's a millennial thing and that's the way we express ourselves. I don't really know. But I had a dream that I was getting the tattoos that I wanted, and it's a kind of a Viking tradition thing because it runs through my blood. That's what I am, native-wise, ancestral-wise. So I was dreaming I was getting this tattoo. And it was really neat. I was exactly what I was looking for. They were working on it, yada, yada, yada. On the other arm, though, where my American flag is, they said, okay, well, you know what? Let's enhance the American flag. And they said, well, okay, on this, underneath there, you can have like an American eagle, and it's all going to be wrapped in American flags. It's going to be beautiful and very patriotic. I'm like, all right, that's cool. Let's go ahead and roll with it. So they were doing that one. Then they said, right underneath your current one here, we're going to put the Liberty Bell and make it all patriotic and kind of tied in with the American flag. Like, that's cool. Go ahead and put the Liberty Bell on there. Well, of course, in your dreams, it doesn't always work out the way it is supposed to, and I dreamt last night that instead of getting the Liberty Bell tattooed on my arm, I got the Taco Bell logo tattooed on my arm. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know if that was a sign that I just wanted Taco Bell or what it was, but in my dream last night, I had a dream that, yes, I did get the Taco Bell logo tattooed on my arm right underneath the American flag that was supposed to be the Liberty Bell, but for some reason just didn't turn quite out that way. So don't dream while you're on NyQuil. Maybe that's the key words there, and we'll see. I don't know, but you have some really funky dreams and really have a wild imagination by the end of that one. So that was my weekend. Hopefully you had a great one as well. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, excited to talk to Michael Betrus. It's been a while since we've chatted with him. He is the author of COVID-19 Lockdown on Trial. What could a potential COVID response team look like from a potential President Joe Biden coming up in the next year, if that's what ends up happening? I don't think it's going to happen still. I'm still hopefully optimistic when it comes to Donald Trump and his team being able to find the proof that we need for the rigged system. But nonetheless, if we do have a Joe Biden, what would that COVID response look like? Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll talk with Michael Betrus about that here in just a little bit. Outside of that, what else did you do this weekend? Show of hands. Did anybody actually watch the American Music Awards? No? Nobody? I did. I gotta be honest, I didn't even know they were happening. Didn't even know they were existing. I didn't know that they really televised award shows any longer, whether it's the American Music Awards, the Country Music Awards, the Grammys, the Emmys, any of that stuff. They are so bad, and they tie in so much politics and try to prove so many points in them, I really just don't pay attention any longer. They used to be really cool, like, oh, wow, who's going to win this one? What elite person is going to win the next award? And it was kind of entertaining. But I've realized that either I'm extremely old and totally out of touch with current events, or not current events per se, but with pop culture, or they're just dreadful. Because I was looking at the response from today, and the ratings apparently were a disaster. There's only like 4 million people, 3.5 million people that actually watched the American Music Awards because most people didn't even know it was actually happening. But the show scored 4.4 million viewers in its first hour, then dropped like a rock to 3.8 million, then just 3.1 as people continued to tune out because it was so bleedy boring. And I'm sure that they had some political snarky comments in it as well. I'm sure they threw Donald Trump under the bus at some point, saying like, oh, he just won't concede, and oh, we're excited for a Joe Biden, hooray. I'm sure that was there in some degree. But I didn't know anybody watched these anymore. Then I realized, too, as I was watching just little clips of it, because I am a radio host, I need to stay up on some of the pop culture, I realized that I don't even recognize any of the performers any longer. I mean, honestly, does anybody really know who this is? First off, I have no idea what they're saying, so that's nice. But the American Music Awards had, apparently, it was kind of a Hispanic theme. Jennifer Lopez ended up performing last night, which I have to admit, I mean, for someone being that age, she is still somewhat attractive. That's cool, but why do I want to watch that? And all her music sounds the same. And then it went into this guy who I have no idea who that is, but I can't understand it. And that's just not my cup of tea. It's just not. I don't understand why. Maybe, again, I'm an old spirit. I just can't get into that kind of music. I just can't do it. But that's what everything sounds like nowadays, doesn't it? It's just the same repetitive electronic beat. They just kind of sing nicely or try and hip hop to it, and it's just kind of their thing. So kudos to the American Music Awards for not having anything. In fact, they had a 45% drop in ratings compared to the last couple of years. but I'm sure they tried to throw in the political spins. They made the big message, of course, trying to do the Hispanic theme because Donald Trump's out. Therefore, we need to celebrate Hispanic culture because they apparently just hate Donald Trump. Yeah. I don't get it. I'm going to be one of those guys when I get older, and I'm almost already that now. I'm 30, what? I don't even remember what I am now, 32, 33 years old. And I'm going to be one of those guys, you daggone kids, where I'm just going to yell at them because they do really dumb things. Now, I will say, though, that if they start including good music into the American Music Awards, then maybe I would pay attention. If they throw in something like, I don't know. I mean, you do something like that, then maybe you could actually get my attention. I can see everybody else right now saying, Andy, what the heck are you doing? I'm just throwing it out there. You actually throw in some decent music and some people might actually pay attention. None of that other stuff. Welcome into the show. As we try and focus on the cultures of others, because apparently that was the focus on the American culture or the American Music Awards, which is cool. I mean, obviously we're a melting pot, are we not? Or are we a mosaic? I've heard the different terms in numerous different ways. Whether it's I like to say that we're a melting pot. We take different ideas of the cultures and different ideas in different parts of the world, and we celebrate them. We have different holidays based on, Halloween, which is the Day of the Dead for the Hispanic community. We have Christmas. That's obviously a Christian holiday that we've turned into a national holiday here. We have St. Patrick's Day that's supposed to be St. Patrick driving the snakes out of Ireland. We have the 4th of July, obviously, for American culture altogether. We do have Cinco de Mayo. We have so many different holidays, national holidays that we celebrate in America. I would like to say that we're a melting pot. Now, unfortunately, thanks to progressive ideas, we've kind of divided ourselves into quarantined areas per se, don't we? I mean, we kind of have the suburbs, and we have the inner city, and we have the rural communities, and we have the black community and the Hispanic community, and we have Chinatown. I mean, we kind of live in our own little norms, and then we have our own cultures within our own little worlds within the city together. Then we have the gangs that go against each other with the Hispanic and the black communities, and it's just ridiculous. So while we try to claim that we are the melting pot, are we really a melting pot any longer? There is a story from Urban Hollywood 411 that said that there is now a new news network coming out nationwide called the Multicultural News Network, targeting diverse audiences to launch in the next year. Now, I don't know what the Multicultural News Network has to offer. And news, you would think, would just be news. Why does it need to be anything else other than just news? Doesn't make any sense to me. I'm confused. If news is news, if there is an apartment fire in your community, then the news is going to cover the apartment fire in your community. If there's an election and there are candidates running in a county commission district or a city council district, then you are going to report the news based on what they say. There's going to be news based on what they do. And then the response of different communities, I guess, that is just news. That's the way it's supposed to be. Now, is that necessarily the way it goes today? Not necessarily. But now we have the Multicultural News Network. While we try to culturally multi-blend cultures into one news network, is it really what they're doing? While we are trying to be the melting pot of the world, bringing in people from all over the world with their cultures, with their traditions, with their religions, with their backgrounds, with their identities, with what they do, with who they are, with how they live their lives, and then we take little bits of that and be like, that's really neat. And at the same time, them assimilating to the American culture instead of just being the mosaic of, oh, there's a little block over here, there's a little block over here, there's a little block over here. We should blend them all together. And I think nowadays we have this idea of multiculturalism being like, oh, let's put all this together and try and find it. But that's not what they end up doing. This is what the black community says over here. This is what the Hispanic community says over here. This is what the Asian community says over here. This is what the evil white people say over here. What it turns into being is trying to identify people based on their identities, playing the identity politics, and saying, like, we're so multicultural, we're going to talk to this community and this community and this community. Why doesn't all of them just come together and be like, here's the news, and you don't have to identify them based on their community? Because when you do that, doesn't it separate them already? Doesn't it divide them already? This is the backwards way that we operate in society today, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's the Morgan Freeman that comes out and says, no, we don't need a Black History Month because we don't need to talk about Black history. We need to talk about American history. And guess what? Black people in America are part of that American history. So we need to talk about history of everybody, not just one group. Not just whites, not just blacks, not just Hispanics. You do realize that there are subcultures within all of those, right? They're not just white people. And I think that people say the evil whites or whatever, I mean, that's just silly because just a few hundred years ago, there were battles and wars going on just between white people with, the Germans and the French and the English and the Nords and the whatever else that there were back in the days, the Spanish. And they all battled and they don't like each other. Back in the day. Nowadays, you're just all lumped into one. You do realize that there are African tribes that still just, slaughter each other because that's what they do. Hispanic communities did the same thing. We've mentioned the joke about the Aztecs playing soccer with the heads of their enemies. Pretty sure they were brown people too. But nowadays, in the backwardsness of progressivism, identity politics is going to cure identity politics, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. So, welcome to the Multicultural News Network, coming up soon to a theater near you.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the show. Thanks for hanging out with us today on a Monday, kicking off a brand new week. It is a holiday week, so happy pre-Thanksgiving to you. We will be live here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We will be off on Thursday. Not sure about Thursday yet. Haven't decided. I think we're going to do a best of on Friday just because we are working diligently on the Hooser Media Network studios at home. So I'm not sure yet, but I do have to come in for a while to the studio anyway, so we might as well have fun. I'm not sure yet. I don't know how many people will be paying attention on a Friday with the Black Friday craziness, with the cyber sales going on, with the Thanksgiving celebration for the family. If you are enjoying your family, if you are traveling, then safe travels to you. If not, then stay home and be safe as well. However you want to do the COVID-19 thing, don't be the super spreader, unlike the American TV Awards or the Music Awards. Ha-ha! See? That was a great comment from a listener on the Facebook Live. We do have the Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, also LinkedIn on there. All of them streaming live. We also have it on Parler.com and Minds.com and the website at HooserReason.com. Also, we are working on some new social media sites as well, so make sure to follow us with all of our handles at Hooser Reason on any of your favorite sites. The podcast as well, which we killed it for this weekend, so thank you for that. We had some great increase in our podcast numbers over the weekend, and we always appreciate what you do each and every day listening to the program. As the super spreader that is not the American Music Awards. It's sad, isn't it? I mean, we didn't even want to spread that virus in our own homes because of how badly that American Music Awards was that no one even knew about. So then we have that going on for us. I do enjoy how the media has tried to attack Trump so vividly, and I got off the air just a little bit ago with Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Great guy. We always love having hanging out on his show. But he was talking about the disappearance of Donald Trump, according to the media. He's just gone. Just gone. Don't need to talk about him. We're just going to erase him from our history. We forget that he ever existed. And it's true, because they don't want to pay attention to him. He is old news. He is done. He needs to go to the wayside. We just need to bring in a Joe Biden. And in the history books, we'll just show that there was a gap of 4 years between Barack Obama and Joe Biden. And in between there, we were just sleeping. We just went into a coma. Well, the media, because they're not covering him any longer, they don't want to give him the time of day. He's yelling and screaming at the top of his lungs about potential voter fraud. He's yelling and screaming at the top of his lungs about potential rigging of an election. Your voice not being heard because they want to rig it and give who they want to. And usually, anytime Donald Trump says something, they would be all over it. He didn't have to advertise at all in the 2016 presidential election, remember? Because all he would have to do is tweet, and they would run with it and talk about it for 2 days. Look how terrible Donald Trump is. During his entire 4-year presidency, all he had to do was tweet, and they would talk about, look how bad the president of the United States is. Look how racist he is. Look how terrible this guy is. That's all they did. Now he's sitting here and saying, wait a second, my friends, there's voter fraud going on. I won this election with 74 million votes. And they're not even talking to him anymore. Not even ignoring him. And then they say that it's his fault because he tried to go silent with the media. According to sfgate.com, since Election Day, he has spoken 8,143 words publicly over 18 days through Saturday, according to thefactbase.com, a website that tracks the movements of the president. On average, he spoke 8,398 words daily, but only 454 words per day since November 3rd. In the year 2020, President Trump averaged 48 minutes on camera every single day for the entire year of 2020. Since November 3rd in the election, he's only spent 50 minutes on camera for the last 2 weeks, when he was averaging almost 48 minutes a day on camera. Donald Trump goes MIA. Donald Trump completely disappears. Now, was that because of the bidding of President Donald Trump, or is that because of the bidding of the media who does not want to cover Donald Trump anymore because they've forgotten the name already, because they want to put on those blinders and move past him and forget that he ever existed? It's funny how the media can choose to cover and not cover Donald Trump and then attack him for not wanting to be covered any longer. While he's holding press conferences about voter fraud with evidence, they refuse to even cover it or report it. And then they say, look at that, he's not reporting anything. Oh, how you love the mainstream media. Bottom of the hour news. When we come back, we'll talk to Michael Betrus. COVID-19 lockdown on trial. What's the next couple of years going to look like here on The Voice of Reason?
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the Voice of Reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast, Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the show. Thanks for hanging out with us today on a Monday, getting ready for the Thanksgiving holiday break here in just a few days. I know you're excited about it. I'm excited about it because, well, the trifecta of the holidays are officially here. Trying to cram that 10 pounds of Reason into that 5-pound bag. Trying to rebrand the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. Radio, TV, and live streaming all over the place. The Millennial General reporting for duty. Thanks for hanging out with us today. By the way, as we do the live streaming on all of our social media, which you can find our social media handle at Hooser Reason, also on the website at HooserReason.com, we have created our new Rumble page. Rumble, kind of the alternative to YouTube. Now, here's the thing. I'm trying to learn more about it. And Rumble is not like a live streaming where you can do with the live streaming on YouTube. However, we're going to start putting our old shows after we record them onto Rumble, so you can watch them on there as well. So you can find us again with our with our handle at Hooser Reason on Rumble, which is kind of the alternative for YouTube. YouTube's silencing a lot of stuff. Although we have been growing some new subscribers on our YouTube channel. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. And you can watch our live shows and our post shows on there. But Rumble, kind of the new video site as well. So over the weekend, we did create that, and I'm kind of happy. So we're working on slowly getting our shows uploaded onto there. I think we're going to start from November, the beginning of November with the election, and then move on from there. Let's get into what's trending today. What do you say?
What's trending today?
So it seems like it's not going away anytime soon, although now we have 3 different companies talk about vaccines with COVID-19 and which one's going to be the most efficient, which one's going to be the most cost-effective, and now all of them coming out and saying, no, we weren't part of the Operation Warp Speed at all. No. Were we working with President Donald? No, we weren't working with President Donald Trump. We were waiting for him to lose, then it would all come out and poof. Now, the fact that we came out with a vaccine so speedily is kind of amazing, so we should thank American ingenuity for that one, and rocking how quickly we were able to come out with a vaccine for this thing. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to take it. I don't know many people that will be taking it, but if you like the vaccine thing being punched out that quickly to open things up, then by all means. And there's now 3 of them that have come out, and we're going to see which ones are going to be the most cost-effective. But what is just potentially, if a Joe Biden administration does get in after the Supreme Court looks at everything, after the Electoral College votes on December 14th, after all of this stuff, then what's the nation going to look like? What are we going to do? Are we going to be punching out the vaccines? Are we going to be shutting down the economy again? Are we going to be doing universal mask mandates nationwide with a President Joe Biden potentially? To talk about all that and more, we're excited to have this guy back on the show. It's been way too long since we've had him on. He is a coronavirus researcher. He's also author of the book COVID-19 Lockdowns on Trial. Michael Betrus hanging out with us here again on the show. Michael, how are you, my friend?
Hey, I'm great, Andy. How are you?
I am living the dream. Good to talk to you again. It's been too long.
It has.
Yeah.
I agree.
Let's talk about where we're at with this. Everybody was panicking going into the fall and winter because now we're indoors. We have the holidays up here. We're in small, isolated areas. We're going to be spreading the virus. So remember, Thanksgiving's canceled now. We need to do that via virtual things because we don't want to be spreading the virus. Is this going to be the quote-unquote new norm going into 2021 if we had a Biden administration, although I'm sure it would be the same if it was Obama as well?
Well, a few questions to unpack there. First, I do think we're in this for a while. I think that and here's why we're going to see this for a while, and I want to contextualize all this data. About 6 or 7 weeks ago, the WHO estimated that we had about 750 million infections worldwide. That's a much larger number than the official number. So if you kind of extrapolate that to America, that would mean that we have 153 million infections versus the whatever 10 or 15 or whatever million cases that we have today.
Sure.
So if you kind of figure that we have somewhere between a third and a half the population that could be infected by this, and it's definitely a third. Anybody that really follows the data would kind of subscribe to that. Then what you're seeing is a number of people that if we're doing 1 to 2 million tests a day, I'm almost surprised that we're not even seeing 300,000 cases a day. I don't mean in a bad way. I just mean like that's just what would happen.
Right.
So when you've got this many people that are infected, what you're going to see is when people go to the hospital, they're going to test positive for the virus, even if they're not in there for a COVID-inspired ailment. And so an example of that is my brother's a surgeon in Michigan, and we talked to him over the weekend. He did 2 surgeries last week on people that were positive for COVID, so they were COVID patients. But his surgeries, he's a urologist, he had nothing to do with COVID, and you're seeing that a lot. So what I look at a couple things. One is all-cause mortality, and one is total hospitalizations. Because hospitalizations, even in your state, right, they're spiking up quite a bit. So that could seem alarming. You're not seeing deaths kind of follow that same trend. And in Kansas, as just an example, you're almost flat. You're 6% over total hospital beds occupied from a year ago. That's not a very material number.
Sure.
And that number, like 6% or lower, that's what 31 out of 50 states are right now. So you're not really seeing the same type of relationship between cases and hospitalizations and deaths that we did in the spring. And so if we've got this many people that are infected, if they die of something else, that is a COVID death too. And so we have to look at all-cause mortality in terms of total excess deaths as a measuring stick. And the data isn't adding up that we're in a second wave that's sort of similar to what we experienced in April in the Northeast.
No, it seems like they want it to be another lockdown like it was the first time in the spring when everybody panicked and we're like, all right, we don't know how bad this thing is. Just lock everything down. Essential businesses stay open. Everything else just shuts. I mean, we were concerned because we didn't know what we were dealing with then. But it seems like some want that to be the same case again for the fall when that's just not the case. As you mentioned, I mean, the case numbers are going up because we're testing more people. Therefore, we're going to get a more accurate representation of where the virus is across the nation. It's not because we're spreading it more. It's already there. We're just able to see more of it to get a better idea, but the death rate is not following suit as we see the higher cases. So do we need to be panicky as much as they're trying to tell us to be? And why are they trying to use the same technique from the spring as they are right now when we really should be kind of looking at it in a different way?
Well, we shouldn't be as panicky as the media would suggest that we should be. If you're an elderly person and you are, let's say, over 75, or you are under that, and you've got hypertension or severe diabetes or severe obesity, for example, you should keep a low profile for a while. That is a fact. I mean, you are still vulnerable to this.
Right.
If you aren't in one of those kind of segments or population segments, you're really not at a lot of risk. And so it's more like we should be living life more normally. And the only way out of this is, you talked about vaccines on the front end of this. The only way through this thing is to get to either a vaccine environment or a herd immunity where enough people get through it, can't transmit it anymore, and then it just sort of dies off. That's how all these pandemics in our history have fizzled down, is they get to some degree of a population immunity scenario. And you just don't get that contextualized data from the media. And I am shocked that we still have schools closed. we could do 2 segments in a row just on the catastrophe that's happening to our kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it is serious.
Oh, sure. I got a 6-year-old
stuff.
daughter, and she's a 6-year-old in first grade trying to do remote learning with a teacher that checks in, about 2-3 times a day, gives them homework, yells at the kids to pay attention to the computer screen, and then still has the parents try and do the homework for them at home with them. It doesn't make any sense. They're not getting anything from this. And now you mentioned the herd immunity. I mean, we've talked about this on the show before, and it seems like a great idea because that's, as you mentioned, how we've gotten through so many of these things before. But the media says, according to the health experts and the WHO and everybody, that's out the window. We can't do herd immunity. Too many people are dying. So the vaccine is the one and only option for us to actually open up. Is that true, or is herd immunity still on the table?
Well, herd immunity is on the Herd immunity is on the table whether the media or anybody else, the CDC, anybody says it is or not. That's just a biological sort of fact. I do think the WHO has actually not condemned the herd immunity outlook as much as some of the American doctors. And if you follow the Barrington Declaration with the doctors, Dr. Gupta from Oxford and then the other docs from Harvard and from Stanford, they've really endorsed that as kind of our way out. I want to get back to your one point about your 6-year-old daughter. Just to contextualize this for you personally, there's not one outbreak in the world that's resulted in hospitalizations and deaths that's been associated with the school opening.
Right.
And furthermore, we're at about 350,000 excess deaths this year. And about half of that is COVID. The 250,000 number isn't real, but about 180,000 COVID-19 deaths, that's very real. But I'll tell you this, in people that are 25 and younger in America, we are 2% below average in deaths this year. We're not even average. We're not even in school-age kids. And I could go through there's statistically 0% that's died from COVID. I think it's been like 50. And it's not really clear if they were just positive or they had comorbidities. But I haven't read too many reports, and I mean hardly like 0, of kids that actually died of COVID. And so it is a blessing, right? I mean, that's not true for the flu. This is a blessing that we've got, and we're not acting on that data with respect to schools.
It's very strange. We're talking with Michael Betrus, author of the book COVID-19 Lockdowns on Trial. He's a coronavirus researcher. Can you stick over one more segment with us and talk some more about this?
Yes, love to.
I appreciate it because I really want to focus on that. Why are we below the mortality rate in this nation when it comes to these age groups or just in general? Why are we so low? Is it because of the bubbles we're putting ourselves in? And where do we go from here? It's a very interesting conversation. Plus, I want to talk about the Biden administration potentially. I'm not saying it is, but I want to talk about the potential Biden administration when we come back as well on where we're going to go from here if he does take over. And are we still trying to use those same tactics? And would he try to do that? And what a national mask mandate and some of these other procedures that he would like to do would look like in this nation. We'll talk about that and more coming up with our guest, Michael Betrus. COVID-19 lockdowns on trial. Wrapping up the show today for a Monday with one more segment left right here on The Voice of Reason. Radio, TV, live streaming, and podcasting. We are all over the place, baby, trying to kick off a brand new week for you. Lots more coming up. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the voice of reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in with the voice of reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into it. One segment left right here on the Voice of Reason for a Monday, celebrating the greatest day of the entire week. That's right, I said it. You can't deny it. Welcome back in. Thanks for hanging out. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. A lot of great numbers today on our live streams today, too, on the Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Also on the website at HooserReason.com. We have had a lot of people jumping on the website, so thank you for that one. Make sure to sign up for the newsletter if you have yet to do so. We have another newsletter coming up in just the next week or so. At the end of the month, we do our monthly newsletter. Just go to HooserReason.com. When it pops up and say, do you want to become a Hooserholic? You say, oh yeah, I do. Just type in your email. Totally free. We're not going to spam you all the time. All you just need to do is sign up and you'll get our monthly blog. You'll get the topical issues of the month. We'll talk about current events, things that are going on with the show. We'll have our guests that we've had on for the last month, guests that are coming up in the new month, and a heck of a lot more. Speaking of guests, we're excited to have this guy on for another few minutes before we wrap up. Michael Betrus, author of the book COVID-19 Lockdowns on Trial, as he is a COVID-19 researcher. You had mentioned before we went into the break the mortality rate really in the nation down compared to what it usually is by like 2%. Why is that? Are we just were we so scared of the virus we're living in bubbles right now? Just the basic math? I mean, what are we doing here?
Well, I want to clarify. It's not, as a population, we're up 12%.
Okay.
350,000 deaths. It's people 25 and under. That part of the population is actually 2% below average, which, again, is one of those data points that sort of supports that COVID isn't really affecting young people and schools should be open. But as a population, we actually have many more excess deaths than we do COVID deaths. And so what you're seeing is a very significant, somewhere between a 2-to-1 and 1-to-1 ratio of COVID deaths to actual lockdown deaths. So you're seeing like a big excess death spike in people that are 26 to 44. Those aren't COVID deaths. Those are lockdown deaths. Big spike in diabetes deaths.
Now, when you mention lockdown deaths, that's that's suicide, that's committing crimes, that's other things related to what we've done as a society, correct?
Well, so it is deaths of despair. That's what you're describing. That's what we call those. We call those deaths of despair. But it's also things that have just gone untreated, right? We've had a huge spike in Alzheimer's abandonments and dementia deaths, people that have just gone kind of left behind in care facilities. That's a real big significant spike there. We were also down like 46% this year in cancer diagnosis in the 6 most common cancers. Those haven't gone away. Those people just aren't going to the doctor. They were locked out of going to the doctor for a couple months in the spring, and they're afraid to go back now of catching COVID. And so what you're going to end up seeing, Andy, is more deaths associated with the lockdowns than you are COVID deaths.
Wow.
That's real. That is not me like sort of being exaggerating on this. That's real. That is going to play out by the end of next year.
At what point do we realize, or does the nation realize, that the response that we're doing is more of a damage to society than what the virus was itself? At what point is our recovery worse than the virus was itself? I mean, are we going to realize that, or are we just going to continue on with a political agenda?
Well, so it's interesting you say political agenda. I actually feel like it's less a political agenda than the media driving this. The media pressure on the governors and on even political leaders, but it's the governors that are actually executing all this. It's like COVID needs to be squished down to like an absolute zero. That will never be a practical reality for us ever. It just won't. And so the scorecard is COVID. The scorecard isn't like all-cause death. So like an example is South Dakota is getting hammered in the media because they're open and they're having a big rise the last 30 days. I mean, they're at their peak right now. The problem is every single state around South Dakota, including yours, has the same curve. And so it's not validating that lockdown, states that are locked down, they're not doing any better than Florida and South Dakota that are open. But no one's really looking at that. Lockdown states need to be like doing way, way better than South Dakota and Florida to justify it. They're not, but people don't know it.
No, that's true. I mean, we lock things down and it doesn't get any better. We've had mask mandates here in Kansas, for an example, for a long time, and yet the numbers kept going up. Now they say it's going to be enforceable with a fine or a punishment by the government, and by the next day that they pass the ordinance, all of a sudden it seems to go back down, which kind of is really fishy to me. About 30 seconds before we let you go, but a nationwide mask mandate from a Joe Biden, would that solve this issue?
Well, no, because you're not seeing it in any place in the world, states or countries in Western Europe, anywhere, you're not seeing suppressed cases, infections, hospitalizations as a result of mask mandates. I'm sure you've seen the charts, but there's nowhere that you've had a mask mandate and then you see just flatline suppressed COVID activity. It just doesn't exist.
Just doesn't work. It's the author, COVID-19 Lockdowns on Trial, Michael Betrus. It's good to talk to you again, brother. We got to get you back on the show again here real soon.
Love to. Thank you so much, Andy.
Hey, always a pleasure. That does it for us today. Podcast going up in a little bit. We have the next few days loaded with guests getting you ready for the Thanksgiving holiday. Until then, it's time for you to be your own voice of reason. Time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. This is the Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser. Everybody have a wonderful Monday evening and have some really wild dreams. Continue to fight that fight, and let's have some fun tomorrow. What do you say? Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend the Great Republic. It's all there at because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.